Today on our show, man,
The man who walks between worlds.
that's right. We got a guest, and he's fucking. Oh, that was huge. I'm Kevin Smith.
Marc Bernardin.
Chuckles here is Marc Bernardin, and we're gonna dive into a show here today, man. The origins of this show, ladies and gentlemen, very Hollywood. I was getting a pedicure the other day.
As one does.
Well, fuck y'all, because he was getting a pedicure as well.
Yeah.
I was getting a pedicure. My wife was like, I'm going to get a pedicure. I said, fuck it, I'll go get a pedicure with you. I went to get a pedicure. I don't do the manicure, though.
Really?
No, manicure, you bite your teeth. But I can't bite my toenails because I can't reach. If I could reach that low, I'd be biting a lot more of my toenails.
This might be the first time I've ever said that might be too much.
Oh, my bad. In any event, I'm getting my toes done. And there's a guy across from me getting his toes done. He said, hi. And I looked up and immediately I was like, oh, it's you. Like the way they used to show in movies where there'd be a POV shot and they'd come up on a person and be like, it's you. And then that person be shot or something like that. I was very much
or start like a musical sequence.
Very much. Neither of those things happened because we were the fucking getting our feet scraped and shit. But what started was a great conversation, man, because I was like, this motherfucker walked between two worlds, man. You're gonna recognize him instantly. The moment we put him on camera, you're gonna be like, that fucking guy. But what's amazing about this show is you're gonna learn that guy's fucking name. More than that, 10 minutes I talked to this dude while I was getting my feet done. 15, I'll eat my hat. In that time, this dude gave better guests than like almost fucking 90% of the people I've ever spoken to on other podcasts. He was a living anecdote generator, dude. And like every story, I was like, oh, it's adorable. Oh, that's amazing. And it was all relevant to our world. Okay, so it's a big buildup. So what we're going to do is tell you the dude's fucking bona fides. Then we're going to tell you his name. Then we're going to fucking give you a single of this motherfucker. And when he fucking dramatically looks at you, you're going to be like, I know exactly who that is, man.
Yes.
In fact, before we fucking even announce who he is, let's bury the lead, right? Let's show the face. Okay. And then we'll fucking tell everybody. Here, give him a single. Ready? Oh, hey. Come on. You know who that is.
On a swivel.
Come back to for the wide shot right here. Not just the two. Yes, there we go.
It's the guy from the Wendy's commercials.
Bingo! Bingo! He did it, man. This is, now, here we got to do it because it's tough. Yeah. This is Dave Dastmalchian. Dave's last name is, spell it for him.
Dastmalchian. Took me till I was in kindergarten till I could spell it. I had to learn half the alphabet. But by the time I was on a show one time in a production office, I went to pick up per diem, and they said, "We figured out how to say your name, Dastmalchian." So ever since then, I tell people, "You're from the Bronx. You got hit on Dastmalchian."
That's why you said it.
Dave Dastmalchian.
What is that nationality background?
It's an Iranian name. It's Farsi, and it means a seller of handkerchief.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So where you are descended from a bunch of people who you need a Kleenex?
Sold Kleenex back in the day. Yeah,
amazing.
Like in the Crescent Circle, people had a cold. You went to my ancestors and you picked up.
There's only one guy you could go to.
I gotta go to Dastmalchian.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Dave here, as you look at him, you're like, why do I fucking know that guy? You're not even saying that because right away, you're like, I know that guy. Some faces you see, give him a single. Some faces you see and you'll never fucking forget, man. You ain't gonna forget that face for two reasons. I'll tell you why. Go back to the wide shot. You saw a little picture called The Dark Knight. Remember that? He was in it, dude. Yeah. You saw a little picture, and when I say little, I'm not just making puns, called Ant-Man. He was in it, man. Look, all right, there's the look right there from fucking Dark Knight. You remember that was the dude in the chair that Dark Knight was like, he's a diseased mind, like the Joker likes to play with. He was defending him and shit, and Harvey Dent wanted to like take him out. And you had a scene with the two biggies.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys, first of all,
I love him so much. He's so enthusiastic.
You guys, hey, first of all, it's awesome to be here. Thank you guys for having me. It's amazing.
I know,
and
I'm rushing
the
you right into the
pedicure thing, like crazy. Like, just first of all, I just got to say, was that your first one ever?
No,
okay,
fuck no.
It was mine. And
don't lie, dude.
I'm not lying.
Now you're hanging me out to dry like he's the king of the pedicure. I just happened to be walking by.
I stumbled in by accident.
Yeah, it's not like a fucking bathhouse.
If I get to keep running into Phil, I'm going to go now. Oh, we left. Trust me. My wife said, "Oh, are you glad you went now?" And I said, I met Kevin Smith. I got to sit next to Kevin Smith.
Why are wives such wise asses? Because you left. My wife goes, "Who's your new boyfriend?" And I was like, "You were right there. What do you mean? How do you not know?"
Dude, it was awesome.
It was very sweet.
It was.
No, apparently the key to getting on the show as a guest is just to get a pedicure.
Show up where we're getting pedicure.
I'm not giving away my secret location now, though.
Dude, that's not what got him on the show. What got him on the show is the moment he started talking, I was like, oh my God, you're a fucking podcaster's wet dream.
Well,
everything was a wonderful, well-rounded anecdote. Let's take him to the beginning, though.
Yes.
Because those are two massive, and as I said, that's a man who walks between two worlds. He got a foot in DC, and he got a foot in Marvel as well. Big foot in fucking Marvel. So this is a guy who's done it all. And he's done a lot more since then.
It is for anybody who watches. It's a dream. It's the biggest dream. It's insane. I was I grew up in Kansas. I started buying comics when I was 9 years old.
What was your first comic?
Third grade. It was an Avenger. I actually brought it.
See, I told you.
Avengers 249.
Oh, is it signed?
That's a part of a story that I'll get to. But you can actually see the trace marks because I used to want to illustrate, and so I used to trace. And this is such a great cover because it's got all. So many of the heroes right there.
Yes, look at that lineup.
But I was, that same summer, it was on a spinning rack at a 7-Eleven in Kansas City. And then I soon found a place called Clint's Comics South, which was a comic shop where I started riding my bike all the time. And that was soon after that when, Miller's Dark Knight was happening, and then Death in the Family and all these amazing, so I was really in love with which Joker played such an integral part of some of those. So I was a huge fan of the villains of DC, and then the heroes of Marvel. And I continued. This is embarrassing to admit now as an adult, but the first serious collection that I subscribed to that I got monthly was the West Coast Avengers, which a lot of people give me shit for, but I loved those guys. And I was 9, man. Tigra was like my first
boy-girl thing?
Stroke inspiration, yeah.
Right. The lady who looked like a cat. Yes.
Yeah, she was hot. And Wonder Man was rad. And
they put it on Front Street. They don't say pussy, but it is. Yeah, how can you not? Did that also have Marvel Man in it as was the West Coast Avengers?
No, Wonder
Hawkeye
Man
was in it though.
Hawkeye was
and Wonder Man. That's who I'm
Wonder
thinking
Man.
of.
Wonder Man was attitude all the time, and Clint was the leader of the gang. But Hank got involved. And I really was, Hank was in a dark period when they were writing him into the West Coast stuff. And I thought, this guy's amazing. So then I started doing more research into who's Hank Pym? And then I started to learn about the Avengers. And then as you get older, you dig further back into the history of the comics. So now, as a grown-up, being in both of these worlds has been, it literally is. I wake up sometimes, I still can't believe that this is really my life.
That's right, dude. You'd be a Hank Pym fan, or at least familiar with Hank Pym as a West Coast Avengers reader. Years later, they're like, you're going to be in a scene with Hank Pym.
Yeah. Played by Michael Douglas. I mean, oh my God, taking me back to Romancing the Stone and being like,
yes!
What? Oh my God.
An amazing fucking movie.
So yeah, I went from Kansas City to Chicago. I was studying theater. I became a theater actor, and I don't know how long to make this story, but
Tell them who you know, who you met back in the day.
I'm doing theater in Chicago. You're not making any money, and I was a telemarketer by day, and I was working at a movie theater, sweeping popcorn, and I got a chance to audition for one of my favorite filmmakers in the indie side of things, a guy named Chris Smith, who made American Movie.
Oh, fucking, I love American Movie.
American Movie, the two guys making their horror film, Coven. So Chris, who directed that, was shooting this commercial, and we just hit it off immediately. And he really taught me how to get in front of these things because it was very different coming from the stage. And so,
how much theater had you done, and where'd you do it in Chicago?
A lot. I mean, I was working all over town, doing the storefront 45 folding chair seat theaters, then starting to make my way up into the bigger regional theaters. So when I did the commercial with Chris, around that same time, I got to start working in bigger theaters, and I was playing Montano in a production of Othello at a place called Writers Theater, with really cool big theaters in Chicago. And now I started getting in front of the camera and feeling comfortable with it, and I wanted to go work in movies. I mean, that was my dream. That was my goal. I wanted to go, so I was going to save up enough money to move to Hollywood and go for it.
When about is this? What year?
This is 2006-ish, 2007. Right, the winter of 2006, 2007, I made up my mind.
God, you're not even 10 years in, dude. And look at your fucking bona fides, man.
Well, I hear that the Batman movie, they're saying the sequel to the Batman Begins is going to come into Chicago, and they're going to cast, and they're going to be looking for people. And I'm like, don't they know that I'm the guy? I know. I could tell them anything they want to know. Who do they want me to
I like DC villains.
I'll carry a Coke into a scene and just let me be there, please. So I'm doing this play. We started rehearsals the beginning of April. And my agent called and said, you're going to go in and audition for one of the bank robbers. And there's a scene. We don't really know much about it, but you're a clown, like a masked bank robber. And the sides they gave me were dummy sides, of course. But it was something like, he thinks he's getting my share of the money. Have you seen this guy? Yeah, I was supposed to pick up something to that effect.
We know that scene, man. That's that scene.
So I prepared it like crazy, man. I went in there. John Papsadera had come into town from LA to do some casting.
Huge casting agent.
Amazing guy. Does work with Chris on everything he's done, I think.
Yes.
And and as I'm sitting in this waiting room with all the other Chicago actors, a guy walks by who's John's assistant and is like, "Hey, you're the dude from that commercial, the one that Chris had directed me in, where it's like a silly cell phone commercial."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, that's me. I was like, oh no, is that a bad thing that they're gonna think I'm a silly commercial guy? And he's like, we love that spot. Come here, I want you to meet John, the casting director. So I go in with Papsadera. I read the scene. He's like, I really like what you're doing. You brought something specific to this character. I want you to meet our director. So the next day, this is a strip mall that you go into in Chicago.
Go to a two-shot of me and Marc. Holy fuck. You know what I'm saying? Holy fuck.
Meaning Chris Nolan at a strip club?
Back to date.
Sorry, the story is not as interesting, but it's still kind of interesting. So you go to the strip mall, and the signs everywhere say Rory's First Kiss. That was like the fake
that was the name that
they were giving
they
the
shot
movie.
under, yeah.
So I go in, and I remember it's freezing cold, Chicago winter, and it's probably like, it's beginning of April, and I go in with Christopher Nolan, and he's sitting in a small room, and he's got a little handheld camera, and I do this scene, the bank robbery scene, and he gave me a little direction, and then we shook hands, and I walked out, and I never feel this way. I was just like, it's mine. I got it. I'm going to be that bank robber. And I got in the car. I called my mom. I tried to never do this. I was like, Mom, will you pray? Will you say a prayer for this?
Oh my God! You reached back to the
I
Lord?
reached all the way up. And
Wow.
Mom's like, yeah, what's it for? I was like, well, I didn't want to tell her what for. It's very important. So then I go back to rehearsals, and about a week or so later, I'm on my way to rehearsal, and I open the paper, and there's this article that they've shot this bank heist scene at the old post office in downtown Chicago. And they're describing the guys with the clown masks on, and I'm going, I was devastated. I mean, my soul was like wounded. I was crushed. But
in your heart, you had that. That
had
was
it, and
yours. And you met the dude.
When was a guy like me going to get an opportunity to audition for one of the greatest reboots of one of my favorite universe? I mean,
one of the greatest American living filmmakers.
You know, I was just like, so I rode the rest. I remember, I'll never forget the rest of the ride up to my stop. And I allowed myself that time to just be devastated. And then I got off the train. I was like, time to go do Shakespeare, motherfucker. Sorry, can I say that? Yeah, right. So I go do the show.
And that's the way you got to approach life. It's just like, you thought you had it, you didn't. Well, what are you going to do? You can't kick and scream. You're like, fuck it, moving on to
something that's great. I'm getting to do this awesome show with these amazing actors. 4 months that job was. From rehearsal to opening, we extended all the way to closing. July 21st, my birthday. Mm-hmm. My agent calls, and at this point, I have let go. I mean, every time I'd see that they were shooting in Chicago, I'd always go down and stand with everybody else behind the things, and my agent called. He said, "Well, I don't know what to make of this. They're being real secretive, but they want you to be in the Batman movie, and you're going to be a thug, and they really won't tell us anything else, but they need to know if you have a passport." And I said, "I don't," and he said, "Well, go get one." So I just ran to the post office, and I got a passport expedited, and I went, and I told you this story the other day. I had to go to back to that office, the strip mall office, and sign like some documents to get these sides that were like 2 pages that were all X'd out except for like
everything's redacted.
Everything's redacted except it says like, there he is, let's get him. And it said I was the driver, so I was preparing that, driving around I think at that point I traded in the Chevy's 83 Celebrity for my Dodge Intrepid 96, which was just making a lot of noise. I was driving around, there he is. I had the character. I created this thing. And then I went to the fitting the day before we shot, and they put me in this cop uniform, and I said, why am I dressed like a policeman? And Lindy Hemming, Christopher Nolan's wardrobe, said, "Oh, Christopher's so secretive, he hasn't told. You don't know anything." And I was like, "No, I don't know anything." She's like, "You'll be fine." And the next day I went to work downtown.
You still don't fucking know what you're doing?
No idea. I think I'm the driver. Why am I? So I'm coming up with new justifications like, oh, maybe I went undercover and I stole like an armored vehicle. I don't know.
Look at you acting before you're even being paid to act.
Oh, big time.
This is like the most elaborate episode of Punk'd ever. Right?
Can you imagine though if I got there and they were just like, dude, really?
Dude,
you really
I've been
think?
working with actors for 20, 22 years. I don't know anybody that's like, I came up with an inner life for my two-line driver.
Oh, dude.
That's
This guy.
smart, dude.
This guy.
That's smart.
So I didn't think I was going to according to this, I wasn't going to have any lines. So I'd already created a character who couldn't communicate except through this condition that I had kind of imagined that was like he had the ability to giggle. Like imagine that horrifying reality where if no matter what you were trying to really say, all you could really do was just let out a little giggle. So then I get to work the next day, first day. I mean, you guys, it was like
This is Chicago still.
this is in Chicago, and it was a huge first day. They had the entire parade they were starting to set up down near LaSalle, and they had thousands of extras dressed like cops and like, for the funeral parade sequence. And the first thing I actually shot was being in the back of the ambulance after I've been shot, and Harvey Dent comes in and says, tell me what you know, and I'm not going to, and so he kidnaps me basically. And as I'm getting dressed, one of the producers of the film, he came, and he's like, so this is what we're really doing today.
And that's the first moment you hear what's happening.
What I actually knew what I was going to be doing fully in the film. And if you looked at the page, it was only, the line was, I didn't even have a line in that scene. Right. It was just supposed to be, but it said, I smirk, I think was the direction. I've got my script here somewhere. And I remember thinking, Aaron Eckhart already is scaring the shit out of me. He's so intense and he has such charisma. I thought, like, how would I ever be able to smirk or like intimidate him and make him feel threatened? And luckily, I think this idea of having this kind of giggle, it could be interpreted as sarcastic by somebody, or it could also be like fearless. And in reality, then when I found out that my character was actually supposed to be mentally ill, it couldn't have worked out better,
Dude, you played someone from Arkham. You know what I'm saying?
You're telling me.
That's fucking nuts. And to find out the day of, like you get there and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, you're going to play somebody who goes to Arkham, motherfucker.
And the rest of that week was standing next to one of the greatest actors of our time and I got to sit in hair and makeup every morning with Heath and with Christian Bale and with Aaron Eckhart and everyone who was in that sequence. We were called at the same time and they shared hair and makeup, and Heath Ledger was playing the music that he was turning me on to, and I just got to stand around with him for like 5 days.
What was he like?
Amazing. Really?
Good guy? I met him once at a Spirit Awards ceremony. I made a joke during the ceremony, and afterwards he was with Michelle Williams. And they were standing outside. I walked past and he was like, that was funny. And I was like, me? Thanks. And I think it was the year of Brokeback. I think I made a Brokeback joke about spitting in the hand. That was funny. But I liked him in Brokeback shit. When they announced him as the Joker, there was a lot of people, I don't know if people remember, but a lot of cats were like, what the fuck? Yeah. The guy from 10 Things I Hate About You, he ain't the fucking Joker. But I remember seeing Brokeback and being like, this dude's an actor. Like, he likes to go places the way that Oldman likes to go places or Nick Cage likes to go places. I was like, I think we'll be safe. And then he fucking turned in something that made you forget about Jack Nicholson's Joker, which was one of the most unforgettable fucking on-screen villain performances. Tallest fucking order. The dude filled the shoes.
That's like what I said to him. I was a little ballsy when I think back to how scared I was being on that set. The fact that I made this, he was one of those human beings that you meet and they immediately he just set me at ease in a great way, and as did almost everybody around that set. But he had a very like special quality about him as just a person that as soon as you met, you were just like, it was something like really, I don't know how to describe it. And I mean, we were 2 seconds into conversating about bullshit, whatever, just, hey, how's it going? And I said, I'm a huge fan of this world. And when I heard that, you were playing this part, I thought like, God, wow, what a bad idea. No joke. And he goes, and then I stopped myself. I was like, David, what the fuck are you doing? And
You're talking to power.
And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, me too. And then I said, how's it going? And we started laughing. And he said, I'm having the time of my life. And he was having the best time ever. And we just,
is that?
We stood around. He was the kind of person that didn't know me. I was basically a glorified extra in that film, and yet he knew I was going to travel internationally for the first time in my life, and that I was nervous a little bit about it. I was going to go to London and stay in a hotel, and he said, I've got a flat if you ever want to stay at my place in London. He's just that kind of person,
Right.
And also there's this sequence where the honor guard, and we are supposed to be shooting to the skies, and then we turn on the mayor. We're gonna shoot the newly appointed mayor, Nestor Carbonell, and Oldman saves him, and I grew up in Kansas, and I grew up with guns, but I was this sequence was really uncomfortable for me because you don't see it in the film. Of course, they cut so much stuff, but there was a whole thing of us with the guns, and he got excused at one point to go be relieved, and he saw me over like trying to learn it, and he came over and spent like an hour with me just showing me tricks he'd learned over his time in film because he knew this was I told him this is my first film, you know, he was teaching me how to use a gun and stuff like that.
So thoughtful guy. He easily could have been like, hey man, we're all on our own here. I got shit to think about. But he was like, hey, what you doing, man? Let me help you out.
Of course, and they said that.
Welcomed you into the fraternity.
Go to your trailer. You want to go to your trailer, rest? And he was like, oh, okay. And then he sees this schloppy kid over there trying to look like he knows what he's doing. He just came over and for no reason, you know?
You mentioned music before. What music was he listening to?
Interesting. I still really dig a band called Animal Collective, and he turned me on to them. One morning, we're listening to, it was actually Panda Bear, who's in that band, had done like a side project, and he was playing this music, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And he had been to this club in Chicago that I used to go see a bunch of cool indie bands play, and so we started talking about bands that we liked in common, and yeah, certain songs I'll listen to now, and I still remember like, man, I wouldn't know this if he hadn't turned me on to it. Yeah.
Isn't that weird to say?
Very
like
weird.
Heath Ledger turned me on to this band.
Yeah, it makes me
like, show off. You're like, oh, I can't help it. He did.
Every time I play it in the car too, whoever's in the car, hey,
everyone shut up.
But in all truth, yeah, man,
How long did you spend was that
with him?
One
it was
day,
just 5. No, it was 5. Like almost a total of. It was a full week because there was so many angles of that stuff, and there was so much going on with the downtown and the chaos and everything. So there was a couple days where I didn't actually work. They had me called, and I'd be standing there, and we just got to hang out.
You get paid for the day. That's
and
pretty
got
amazing.
To hang out
and watch Batman,
and then be like this close to the Joker and not see a seam. I mean, the makeup was.
You were that close, and it looks fantastic.
I'm in the only scene that he has his makeup off.
Yeah, that's right. Where he's just like white skin,
dude.
And there's not white skin, peach skin. He's white skin for most of the movie. But yeah, and that's one shot where it's like he's a makeupless Joker.
Yeah, man.
That must have been unsettling to look at in and of itself.
It was. It was like I was creeped out by it in a wonderful way. I mean, this is my.
Did you get to go to overseas?
I did. So then a month after that, I went to London, and you guys got to remember at this point, I'm living in Chicago. I mean, the top game I was making in theater, I was probably bringing in $500 a week. And I had this little apartment, this studio apartment. I get to London and I go into the Mandarin Oriental in Hyde Park. And I go into this hotel.
Huge, beautiful hotel.
I go to this hotel and like there's some chic staying on my floor. So he's got all these crates of shopping that they've just done. I was like, where am I? They gave me a burner phone. I called my mom. I mean, I'm like, I'm in London. I'm in this hotel.
I love that he's like the Billy Ray Valentine.
Free.
Billy Ray Valentine of Batman movies.
And
look where I am.
The bathroom of the hotel was bigger than my studio apartment in Chicago, and I would just hang out in there, and it like echoed. So that was, and I was there on weather cover because they.
Weather cover was for them to do the ambulance scene?
No. There's a scene after the ambulance. He takes me to another location, which is where I'm
Batman
tied
shows
up. Where
Yeah,
Batman
It's
shows
like
up.
the underground subway.
That was going to be in this interior, and the reason why they shot that in the UK was because the director had already scouted where he wanted the scene to take place at the end of the film when Harvey Dent has kidnapped Commissioner Gordon's kids. And
that's some fucking inside dope right
so that location where they shot it, although it's not the same location in the film, I think textually and visually they should feel similar, because that's 2 points at which we see Harvey Dent really when he reveals his darker nature with my character, and then later it's fully revealed. So they were shooting exteriors, and they bring when your weather cover, you're brought in case the weather gets bad. Since mine's an interior shot, they'd call me and say, okay, we're going to jump your scene up. 21 days.
You were in fucking London at the Mandarin Oriental for 21 days?
The weather was gorgeous, and they're giving me per diem every day, and I got to go see shows. You're talking about Patrick Stewart earlier, one of my a huge hero of mine. I get to go see him doing Macbeth. I mean, just
So this is
Just
why
to kill
movies
time.
cost
Yes.
$150 million.
Exactly.
No.
Because they're paying this guy to sit around and go see him.
I was a
I stole
scale
like
job
8
for me.
towels from the Mandarin Oriental. These towels were the
Isn't
grand.
that nuts though, dude? Like in order, and this was done, no lie, to save money.
Yeah.
To bring him over and put him on weather cover means that, like, okay, if it rains, we could quickly shoot something else and we'll shoot this.
Sure.
But in order to do that,
They had unexpectedly
3
the whole
weeks.
October in London
Yeah.
was just gorgeous for 3 weeks. And so then they called me finally. My number came up, and it was time to go. And I got in the car to go to set. Oh man, you guys, I was so scared.
and you know at this point what you're about to do.
I know the scene that
So
we're
you
gonna
know
do.
you're like, oh my God. They're finally like, all right, we'll give you some
This is
signs.
what's going to happen next. And on the drive there, I had it was just a surreal life, one of those life moments. I can be sitting in the back of that car right now, and I'll never forget. And we're pulling down this long drive. We're in South London, and we're pulling towards this massive, beautiful industrial structure kind of on the horizon. As we're getting closer, and it's coming into focus, and I can see the way that it's lit just by the moon. I was like, I know this building, and the driver is lovely guy. He's like, oh yeah, mate, that's where they that's the cover of that, that Pink Floyd album, Animals. Like that's the cover of the album. And I thought that's exactly, it's the Battersea Power Station, which is the industrial image on the
Really?
cover of Pink Floyd's Animals, which is another huge thing in my life, Pink Floyd. So then we get there, and I went upstairs, and they had and they had turned the inside of this old power station into the place where I was going to get interrogated.
Now, had you seen him in the suit prior to this?
No,
First time.
dudes.
How's that? What does it look like in a real room?
So here, man, this is so insane. I'm sitting there, and the actor in me goes, well, he's going to save me. And I don't know if I'll be on camera. I doubt I will, because usually when you're the low guy on the ladder, they're going to shoot everyone else's coverage and they get to you last. But I thought, just in case, I want that moment, the first time I see Batman, to be as real as it can possibly be. Because I was just shaking, literally shaking, and no acting. And so they get me in the chair, and they test everything. And at this point, I know that he's on set, because the presence of the room has just gotten really serious. And there's like I don't know why, they had I think it was just a light bouncer, so, white bouncer. They had something over here, but he was on the other side of it. So I knew I wasn't going to see him until it was the time. And he was warming up his voice, and he was getting ready, and Aaron was pacing and getting ready for his. And we did a wider first time all the way kind of through, and we're doing it. And he comes, he's in my periphery at the point that he's going to save me.
He enters that scene by grabbing the coin, right?
By grabbing the coin. And a lot of things happened in that moment. I didn't shit my pants.
You kept it in. That's a
Came
good
close,
part.
but I look up, and I'm doing this thing with this character that I've created, and no one has yet said to me, like, great, but I felt this encouragement from the director, because he would always just be like, yeah. Like, he's not going to go over the top and be like, oh, that was wonderful. If he likes it, he's just going to keep moving.
Right.
And but I was very insecure. Like, am I making an ass? And this is really me trying it out in its full form now, getting terrorized. And I'm crying. This character's crying, and making kind of weird noises are coming out of me. And in comes Batman, and he's like, "You really think that you can learn something from him?" And the two of them are such serious, focused actors, and they're such lovely guys, but very serious. And I hear like you, and they break, and they start laughing.
Really?
They laugh hard, and I am crushed.
You thought it was at you?
Oh, of course it was. I'm looking at the ground like, oh my God, I'm being that weird. Because it was really our first full time going for it,
Right.
We'd rehearsed, we'd blocked and rehearsed.
So you think they literally cracked it? Your performance?
So I'm like, and this hand is on my shoulder all of a sudden, and it's the glove. It is the hand, and it's even got the little things on the side, And I'm like, and he's got the blackened out eyes and the cowl, and he comes in, and he's like, oh no, like he got it that I was feeling that insecure. He's like, and he never really broke his Bruce Wayne American dialect, except this one time he did it, and it was just to me, and he was like, oh no, mate, I'm not laughing at you. He was like, that coin, it just landed on my bat head. And they were dying laughing, because when Aaron had flipped the coin and Christian was supposed to catch it, it had landed on the cowl.
Genius.
And they ended up, and he was like, no, you're wonderful. And then I'm looking at him going, are they getting this on camera? 'Cause I'm looking at
I want to frame every cell of this right now.
It's so weird, you guys, because you're this close looking at like the utility belt, and it's the mastery of this stuff. Now I've gotten to be around a number of things like this.
Yeah.
When you're up close, it looks amazing, but it looks so different than it looks the way it's meant to look in the film.
Of course,
so
once
up
it's
in
lit.
person, it's a very different thing, and there's a science behind that that's fascinating, you know. But it was surreal.
What was it like? You right away, dude. So you wind up picking up a part in the movie where you work with Heath Ledger, Christian Bale, and Aaron Eckhart. Like, those are the three fucking stars, with the exception of Gary Oldman. You worked with fucking everybody. And Gary Oldman was in the scene.
Gary Oldman was in the scene. So
where you
his
fucking
trailer
shot.
was next to mine. And every time I'd hear his trailer open for him to go out and burn one, I had brought a pack so I could go out and have one too.
That's
I was just
awesome.
like, oh, are you here again? And he was so cool. Really nice guy, man.
All the time.
We love smoking.
2 at a time. Isn't that how you guys do it?
Yes, feels like freedom.
Oh my God. So for 3 weeks, you got to live in London on a Warner Brothers dime, go see plays, and then it ends with your waiting period.
Yeah.
Ends with, and now get to be
This-
part of a cinema classic. And you're part of a cinema classic, dude. You're not just a dude who's in it. When you think of that movie, you remember you.
Thanks.
When you think of that scene, you remember what you did in that scene. Like, that's why I was like, there's no way that those fuckers were laughing at you, because they're both fucking actors, man. So if they saw you getting like shitty and jittery and scared, you know they'd be like, this shit's bringing the fucking A game, and they have to up their fucking game. So that's why when you're telling the story, I was like, there's no way they were fucking like, I'm glad to hear that, because that is a memorable fucking performance in
Thanks,
that
man.
flick, man.
Thank
Like,
you.
you don't know a dude's name, and you're like, oh, that fucking guy. So much so that when you pop up in Ant-Man, I think I was with Muse, and we were both like, oh, it's the Dark Knight guy. All right, so on Dark Knight, anything else that you remember? What was the demeanor of a Chris Nolan on set?
Amazing, man.
Tell him.
The thing that I've been really blessed, man. I've been able in my career to work with, I think, just leaders in this field, and I really think that and going back to like the stage too, there's this quality that I found in masterful directors like that. It's a kind of confidence that greatly transcends cockiness, a confidence that comes from knowing exactly what you're trying to do or say with the scene, and having all the pieces at play up here in this way that if he had this, like, I don't know how to describe it, there's like presence about him that if we didn't have much time to interact, but if he had said to me like, I feel like you should be on a tricycle here, I would have been like, yes. Like,
You're like, oh my God, that's always
Great idea.
what's
He
been
just-
missing from the Batman mythos is a tricycle.
a tricycle. And he had this this air about him, this quality that was, and it's been, I can see it embodied in different people in different ways for him. It was like just a quiet kind of confidence. He kept his monitor on, like, it was like an iPad, which at that time was kind of very new.
Very new.
Right here. So he was always right off the action. So when we were shooting the scene in the back of the ambulance, I remember they had cut a part out of the ambulance so he could be right there and just feeding a little side coaching. But the thing I'll always love and remember the most was I was so nervous, and I'm sure, being who he is and so aware of all things, that he probably sensed that instantly, because I think it's like, it's great to meet you. Thanks so much for having me today.
He's like, either this kid's happy to meet me or he's on a lot of coke.
And he started joking with me in this way that was made, it almost felt like it was between us. Do you know where he'd like come put his hand on my shoulder and be like, oh, you're getting all thespian on me. Are you ready to go and beat that? And it was like breaking, just getting me to loosen up in this way that, so he's not like the serious. He's very serious, very focused, but
Right.
he had a really funny sense of humor. And I found that really surprising. I wasn't expecting that.
You don't look at those movies and go like, he seems like a funny guy.
It's a laugh a minute.
But you look at those movies and you go, God dang, man.
You were there for it,
changed.
man.
He changed the landscape when it comes to superhero films. And I don't know if, he did something, he achieved something that was so true to the source material. And that's something that I'm be able to show my grandkids, I hope, someday, you know?
Yeah, it's like you can look at one of those movies and say, oh yeah, that should have been Oscar nominated. It was Oscar nominated. It won an Oscar. And you don't blink for a second because it's cinema.
Yeah. Yeah.
Impressive. God, beyond impressive. Dude, but you fit in. You know what I'm saying? You don't stick out like sore thumb in the midst of the, like, you fucking blend into that world, man. And that's a memorable, is that your first on-screen appearance?
Yeah.
It's fucking memorable.
Not
It's
bad.
a way to begin a career. And the choices that you made, acting's a job of choices. It all comes down to choices and stuff. The choices you made such an impact, man, that scene, people remember that fucking scene.
Thanks.
And it's not because of like Batman catches the coin and then they have this back and forth. The fucking dude who's terrified in the chair, who they're talking about, who they're having a conversation about, adds to the fucking scene, heightens that scene. So good on you.
That is a hell of a way to get called up from the minors, man.
You ain't
Well,
kidding.
and what a hell of a
Holy
way to
fuck.
look at all the times that I got shit back in the day for blowing my lawn mowing money on comic books. I was so vindicated when I came home from that trip, living in my little studio apartment with long boxes up to here, just going like, if that's the only thing I ever get to do film-wise, then I just felt so like there were so many people I wanted to call and be like, remember when you used to give me shit from my comic?
This
like,
shit panned out.
Yeah, man.
Under the trunk of my Intrepid, I got a box full of slippers from the Mandarin Oriental that I might have borrowed from the hotel.
I just want to point out the Mandarin Oriental is fucking expensive to stay at, man. But for 21 days, dude, do you get to get room service on that too?
I didn't get. They gave me a per diem, and I would. I was broke. I mean, I wasn't flat broke, but I have been.
You might have been making more on your per diem
I
than
was
you were
keeping
making
the per diem.
Yes.
And then I go to this is what I still this is embarrassing to admit
Yep,
if you're
do it.
listening, but I do this to
Acting
this
tips.
day. I travel a lot. We don't live in hotels as much now as just like Airbnbs or like a
Right.
rented apartment. And I like to take my per diem and go buy groceries for the week and then go out like one night a week maybe. We'll go because my family travels with me now.
You got a
And
wife and kid. You don't need to
wife
go
and
out
kid, and we
anymore,
just
man.
So I was doing that then. I'd be like, down to they thought this guy's such an idiot. I didn't know, man. I'd have like a, like like whatever the British version is of the Hungry Man, in my little bag from their version of the 7-Eleven and be like, do you have a microwave that I could, and they'd be like, and they'd send it up on like a cart. They'd have microwave with like silverware.
They're like,
and,
he
a
is
nice
in
glass.
The Dark Knight. He must be somebody.
He's got a lot of these beefy bloke dinners, so I guess
Maybe
here
he's
you
a
go.
boy Joker. We got to treat him well. Let him use our microwave. That's fucking phenomenal, man. But that's just the Dark Knight story. We get to tell an Ant-Man story next. Go to the wide, man. On the very next episode that Dave is going to be on, man, come back and we're going to talk about entering the Marvel universe, man, in the tiniest way possible. Teeny tiny. That's all we got time for right now. Fuck, wasn't that amazing? Didn't I tell you?
Thanks, you guys.
Fucking hell of a
Come
pedicure
on.
pal right there. This is a guy you want to get a pedicure next to, man, because fucking stories like this. Just amazing fucking stories. Give it up for Dave Dastmalchian.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Well done.
It was 20 minutes or more between saying it and saying it again. So I'll take points on that.
You got to
one.
do the finger.
That's what did it for me. It was Dastmalchian. That's what did it. Big thanks to Dave Dastmalchian, man. Come back next episode and we're going to talk more. And this time it'll be about Ant-Man and fucking Marvel and stuff like
Yes.
that. But until then, man, thanks for hanging out with us. I've been Kevin Smith.
Mark Bernard.
And guess who that is?
Say it at home.
Say it.
Say
You
it
can
at
say it,
home.
Dastmalchian.
Yes.
Look at that. Isn't that
Dave
fucking awesome?
Dastmalchian. Thanks, you guys. This has been.
Don't go
amazing.
anywhere. There's more
We're
coming.
not letting you out.
Yeah, we're
No,
gonna take
I'm never.
more
Don't
out.
worry. You can come back next week to film more episodes. Like
Co-host,
Dastmalchian's
trust
still
me,
here.
dude. You'll be riding shotgun with Mark Mercer. Dave Dastmalchian. That's right. Dastmalchian is getting in your Dastmal fucking face, man. He's going to tell you some more anecdotes or Dastmalchian-adotes, if you will, man. You good fucking storyteller, man. We got a lot of reaction to that last episode. People are like, that dude's fucking good. You think that's good? Wait till he fucking tells you
Just
how he
wait.
wound
You
up
wait.
in Ant-Man,
I dare you to
motherfucker.
wait.
Thank you.
You don't have to wait that long.
When last we left Dastmalchian,
Hi.
Yes.
he was working on, he just finished Dark Knight shooting.
Yes.
Left London, went home, huzzah.
Go home.
What
Huzzah.
happens between shooting it and the movie coming out? Do you go to work at all?
I went back to work. I mean, you get a paycheck for your time for the weeks that you were working, but then I went back to acting. And what I was trying to do was save up enough money to get myself to Hollywood. And I wanted a credit, and all of a sudden I had like the best credit I could ask for.
Totally.
So I went back to Chicago, and I got to I got to do some really amazing plays. I did a production of As You Like It, and then I did a production of a Sam Shepard play that I had always wanted to do, and then I knew that I was going to be going soon after that. So I ended up. You also, here's another thing, you guys. Like I told you before how insecure I was about my performance in that film. And it's a massive script of which I only got to see 2 pages of. They didn't show me a whole script, but I knew they were shooting for 8.5 months
Right.
in 3 continents. And I thought, there's a very great reality, and when it's happened to many, many friends of mine, where you shoot something and then so you can't, and everyone says that to you, you know,
Good
don't
point.
count on it.
Good
Don't
point.
Yeah, it could be on the cutting room
Or
floor.
it could be shitty.
So
Yes.
I remember, I'll never forget getting to go. They had like they had a big cast and crew opening in Chicago, and I got to go to a cast and crew screening of the film, and sitting there and watching it unfold, and it was of the umpteenth surreal stories of my own experience that I could tell you guys. That was another one. Just seeing myself up there in that world, I was like, this isn't real, and it didn't even look real. It looked like something about it jars you the first time you see yourself up there. It doesn't look like it fits in the rest of the film. It looks like something maybe my mom had made. I don't know how to describe it.
Like one of these things is not like the other. and
Yeah.
It's great.
So then I was still saving up money, and Chris Smith, who had put me in that commercial before,
Filmmaker Chris Smith,
Filmmaker Chris Smith.
documentarian who made the wonderful
American movie. Yep, and he did the Yes Men and the Pool and Collapse. He's brilliant. He was going to do another string of commercials, and he called me and he said, I got the script and I don't think it's very good, but I think you could do something fun with it. So I ended up getting the job, which we shot in New York. So I ended up actually living for a year in New York. And I was able to save up even more money for my goal to like get to Hollywood.
Well,
and
how does one save money living in New York?
Yeah,
Well,
I just
doing-
read that
I'll tell you.
What'd you become a supervillain?
doing commercials,
Robbery.
doing burger commercials. I did literally, we shot probably 50 some commercials together. They didn't air all of those, but I was on like a contract with, so I got to work with this amazing director, and the other actors in it were good friends of mine, were amazing. And I again learned how doing like this stuff, like being aware of this thing is so vastly different than
being on a
a stage and trying to project to the 300th seat. It's all the same
It's
tools.
a different skill set.
Absolutely. So instead of an audience of 350, you've got an audience of one, and you have to figure out how you can actually
play that
talk
audience.
like this and use a microphone and all that stuff. So I feel like I learned how to camera act again for another year with Chris. And during that time, I met the woman who became my wife. and the
Where'd you
mother of
guys
my
meet?
child.
Where'd that happen? Smart
doing-
man bringing that into the story.
I was
Well
doing
done.
hi honey. I was doing a short film. I wanted to get in front of the camera.
That's her. That's the lady who was at the pedicure.
That's my beautiful wife, Evelyn. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah.
All
Look
that's
at her.
missing is
We're-
the kid.
When we go on those things, those red carpet things for movies, it's hilarious because we do pictures. I always bring her up there. I'm like, you make me look better. So she comes with me. And then the photographer is always like, okay, sir, sorry. Can we get a single on her? Can you get off? They always ask me to get off the carpet because they think she looks like an actress.
You're like, I'm not the plus one.
I'm the
So
one.
I was doing this. These really cool filmmakers who became good friends of mine were making a horror short film about zombies at Fashion Week, and so I was shooting with them. And Eve had trained photography, and so she was friends with the woman directing the short, and so she came for a day to do like EPK and behind the scenes just as like a favor. And I see this girl walking. We're shooting a scene in a salon in Brooklyn, and I see this girl walking around, and I was like, "What is that?" And then I walked up to her because I'm the star of this short film about zombies at Fashion Week, and I'm like, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?" And she's like, "Oh, I have to interview you." And our first conversation is on camera, and it's amazing because
Wow.
I am so. The plumes are so out. Like I'm so like peacocking, trying so hard to be like, yeah, I'm playing this character. His name's da da da, and he's and she was like, in the zombie thing at Fashion Week. I was like, yeah.
My second thing after The Dark Knight with Chris Nolan. It's my follow-up.
Really, I think it was. So then, no, I had done another short back in Chicago before that. So then I head to LA in December. So in January of 2010. I moved to Los Angeles. And
With her?
she and I kept dating long distance, and I got to LA and I got some more work back there. And by the time we finished that, by the following fall, she moved out to LA. We've been together ever since, and now we're married and have a little boy.
And you got the kid Arlo.
We got a little kid
Tell him
Arlo.
this is before we jump into the fucking Ant-Man thing and the sushi girl thing, which puts you into Mark Hamill world as well. Tell him the Arlo story.
My son Arlo, it's really fun because I was saying to Kevin when we met, I said, "Oh man, "It's the coolest name for your daughter," because I know everything about him. And it's weird when you meet somebody and you know so much about them, you don't want to creep them out and be like, "So I know the name of your child. I know blah blah blah. I've seen all of your
It's like,
work."
can I move to a different pedicure chair? This man is
Especially
unnerving
when
me.
You have one that
Getting
comes
their
with a restraining order? Because I really love that.
He knows too much about me. I know I put too much information out there, so it's my fault, but please.
So people, we're saying to him, "Oh yeah, Harley Quinn." That's like nowadays people are like, "Oh, original." I mean, it was so original when you did it. And for me, my son's name is Arlo, and people will come up to me often and say, "Oh, Arlo Guthrie, you named your son after Arlo Guthrie," and I'm like, "No, as a matter of fact, sir." My great-grandparents, Bertha B. and Ernest C. Cobb, were children's book authors back in New England, and they were very indie. They worked out of their kitchen, and they published their own books for kids, and they wrote these awesome stories. And my grandma and my mom would take them to schools, and this book that they wrote was called Arlo, about a little boy who lives with this mean woman, and he runs away to find his parents, and he takes up with these minstrels and goes on this adventure and joins this revolution. And anyway, Woody Guthrie, the famous American folk musician, was friends with my great-grandparents in some weird way and loved that book. So he named his son after the book that my great-grandparents wrote. So technically, Arlo Guthrie's named after the book that I have more claim to. So there's that.
How weird is that, man? What a great little anecdote. That's so
And and Disney actually apparently had the option on Arlo for a very long time. It lapsed in like the 70s, and it's mine now. And one of my goals in life is I'm very fascinated with. I want to make films for kids as well, and I love writing for kids, and I have a TV show I want to make for kids. So I want to. I think there's a film in there that I want to adapt.
How badass is that, dude?
That'd be pretty
Like
awesome.
fucking one generation removed from the creators of the material in the family, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna make a movie of this.
I kind of get this now.
That's badass, dude.
yeah.
That's
So-
fucking dope.
But
God, you got a fucking charmed life, man. You trip into amazing things.
I've been
A
very
wife,
blessed.
Dark Knight, fucking Ant-Man, all of it's good in your world.
I've been blessed, man. It hasn't always been great. Before when I was shoveling popcorn at the movie theater and working the telemarketing job before that, I definitely hit. I think people have their highs and their lows in their life, and I hit one particular low that was so low. It's a whole other podcast, and we could talk about that. But yeah, I'm really grateful. There was a point in which I was sleeping in a car, which was actually I used to park at different places in Chicago, and one of which was very near to where we shot that scene in The Dark Knight. And I'll never forget standing there and thinking like, dude, I used to like sleep down there.
I lived right there.
It's true. I mean, I'm very
awesome.
grateful, man. It makes every day now like surreal. It's weird.
That's you hear shit like that. You always hear like sad actor stories or sad actress stories. You see the ones you all know in the movies and shit in the news. Those are the big success stories and stuff. But whenever you talk to actors, like, yeah, I tried to make a blah, blah, blah. That is a fucking great story.
Thanks, man.
I sort of feel like
beginning to end.
people who are creative, for some reason, their lives end up going as if it's a story. And you've got to have that point, that like middle of the second act where everything is going wrong before you can then rise and have your third act.
Some of us live in the second act.
Well, it's not bad.
Everything goes wrong.
If you can renovate a nice second act and put in like a good fridge. And
When's
a
my
decent
third
kitchen.
act? That's all I want to do. All right, so let's jump to what is technically not your second act, but the big fucking next job that you had was the Ant-Man job.
Yes.
How did that happen?
So I've been now working in LA, and I've done some TV shows. And I had done Sushi Girl, which you mentioned earlier. Which was
Sushi
when
Girl, jump out real quick
Yeah.
to a 4, is an indie film directed by,
Kern Saxton.
and it had Mark Hamill in it
Yes.
as well. Coolest fucking trailer you'll see online.
Yeah.
It's an amazing fucking trailer.
Dudes. The cast is
Fun movie.
really cool. It's Hamill, Tony Todd's in it, Danny Trejo, Andy McKenzie, Jeff Fahey, Sonny Chiba has a cameo in
Holy
it.
shit.
Girl named Courtney Palm, James Duvall, Noah Hathaway, Atreyu from The Neverending Story. He's like the hero of it. We had a table read. When I first the way I got the part was I'd come to LA, and even though I had the Dark Knight credit, I couldn't get an agent. I told you this the other day. I couldn't get anybody that wanted to like sign me, and I was going to offices around at Beverly Hills and handing off resumes and
I'm
DVDs.
in the Dark Knight.
Well, yeah, or like I did. I was Vince and Buried Child in the award-winning. Are you delivering lunch or what? And I'm like, no, I'm me. Anyway, so I Facebook messaged one of the producers of Sushi Girl because I had seen a breakdown of it on Actors Access, and I didn't know how to like reach people to get an audition for something. So I found a guy on Facebook and I sent him a direct message and said, I saw that you're making this movie. Is there any way I could audition for it? And he had just seen The Dark Knight, thankfully, and they brought me in and they put me in the movie, a great role. And I remember the table read. These are all new people to me, mind you. I've just come to Hollywood, and here I'm sitting around a table with these icons and these guys who represent the kind of films that I've been watching my whole life and I love. And I got real nervous, as I do, and I had to go number 2.
No.
Oh, yeah.
You had to squeeze one out of the Sushi Girl?
Well, I mean, we're in a nice.
Nobody ever wants to be in that
We're
position.
in like a nice home in I don't know what neighborhood it's called, but not not far from here in a nice neighborhood, and I'm like, where's the bathroom? I don't want to go to the one that's right off the table read. So I go upstairs. I go. It's quiet enough. Great. There's no toilet paper.
Ah, the dream turned into an.
And I don't have. What am I gonna do? There's one nice cloth towel, and like, what am I gonna do? Well, all I've got this director had texted me earlier directions for her to come for the reading. So I've got his phone number, and that's the only person that I could possibly. So I had to text the director, like, is there any way? So I was humiliated. Can somebody bring me some toilet paper? And Kern, who's now a dear friend of mine, like
Would have to be after this story.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
That's
right.
bonding.
But he made an awesome movie, and that was huge. And Marc and I know you guys are friends and you work together. And he just and he's been on the show, and
He's a fucking great storyteller as well. He's like
amazing,
you.
man.
He's full of fucking
we
anecdotes.
just vibed immediately on. Well, I'm a huge fan of his Joker, huge fan, and the animated series is as big of a deal for me as it is
How
for
weird.
you.
You had worked with the Joker, and then your next.
And that was what he said.
project
He goes, my kids were saying that you were da da da, and I went and watched it, and oh yeah, and you were great, and I was like, oh, Marc's telling me I was great.
Yeah, the Joker.
And I've said this before, but they always say like, don't meet your heroes, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because when
When it
you
comes to
meet
Mark
the
Hamill.
ones that are like. He's just an amazing guy. We bonded over William Castle going to. I was telling him I just went to Cinefamily and they were screening the Tingler and they had the Buzz seats and he was like, "What? I want to go do that with you." And we're friends now. Like
That's
he's
awesome.
He's great.
An awesome dude, man. He left a message on your phone for you?
My voicemail. We'll have to read. I don't have a signal in here, but he go. We were wrapping Sushi Girl and I had to go back to New York for something else. And he said, "Oh, you're gonna miss the wrap party." And I said, yeah. And he's like, I had a gift. Oh, and he recorded my incoming message, which has now been, what's that, 5 years? And it's, David can't come to the phone right now. He's all tied up. He does this great Joker.
Right.
And
That's a pretty good Joker right there.
thank you. I think he lives
worked
with me
with two of
somewhere.
them.
Yeah, it's true. You're some better rub off.
What do you think? I played a Joker. So he left that, which has been to me huge and awesome. It also filters those people who call me often from when they actually leave a message. I know it's important because it's a very long, it's like a minute long message. My mom doesn't even call me anymore. She calls my wife's phone because she's
When are you
like,
going to take that man off your
David,
phone?
it's so scary. Halloween's over. She doesn't.
Oh, moms.
So they did that, and then a bunch of other really cool stuff. I got to work with Denis Villeneuve on Prisoners, which was a wonderful experience we made. And then after Prisoners, I went and I had written a script called Animals, which talks about that dark time I was telling you guys when it was really low. And we shot it for no money in Chicago. My dear friends, Colin Shifley and my wife went and helped, even though she's not in the industry. And this incredible team.
That's a picture from him right there?
That's from the movie. That's me and Kim Shaw.
Who directed?
His name's Colin Shifley.
And you wrote?
I wrote it, and I produced it along with Chris Smith, who
Chris was involved as well?
read the script and loved it, and Mary Pat Bentel, who's an awesome film producer, and Colin, the four of us, and then you know how it goes. And then the army started to come, and the friends and the people that pitched in to work $150 a day, or sometimes
All shot in
free.
Chicago?
Shot it all in Chicago in 4 6-day weeks.
Did you go film fested or what?
So then as soon as we wrapped it, Colin went to use Chris's post house in Milwaukee at Library Films with our amazing editor Amanda Griffin and Chris and Barry Polterman all helped. And they got a cut of it. And at that point I got out of the way because I'd written the thing, I acted in the thing. I'm like the worst person to be giving notes because I'm looking at performance, I'm looking at my script,
Right.
and a movie just, you guys know, it just totally grows and changes after it gets shot. So I wanted to get away, and they submitted, and the first place we submitted, we got into their competition at South by Southwest.
Holy shit.
And we won this really cool award, 2014, March, that is 2014. But mind you, I'm back to like, that movie cost us kind of like months of being out of the game. We had no income. My wife had quit her regular job to come do it with us. And we had said like, oh, well, we're not parents yet. Like we can go do this because it's not like we have a kid.
All right.
Boom. Like 4 days before principal photography, my wife's like, we're gonna have a kid. And
that's when Arlo made it.
And that's when Arlo was, yeah. So within us finding out that we were pregnant with Arlo, however, 8 months later, we're at South by. My wife's out to here. We won this awesome award. I was in the midst of a long audition process for, at that time, Edgar, for Ant-Man.
Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. I had auditioned for Edgar, and then he had set up a test for me, and a bunch of other actors to come in and test for this role of Scott Lang's crew.
So even in Edgar's version, you were on Scott Lang's crew.
Yes. And I had to fly back from South by early, leaving my 8.5-month pregnant wife with our friend Colin, who was like, oh, what do I do if she has a baby? I was like, I don't know, man. I gotta go.
I'm in the movie business. Bye.
And I go back and they postponed that test. Of course, I fly back and they postponed the test. And then they ended up doing it like a week or so later while I was in Vancouver doing a show called The Intruders with the BBC. And I tested for Edgar, and at that point, Paul and Michael were set as cast, and there was a bunch of other guys testing with us for the crew. And it's an amazing story, you guys. It was like a Sunday. My wife found out she might be coming early. The baby might be coming early. I was freaking out. The people I was working with up in Vancouver wrapped me out to put me on a plane to send me back to LA. And my checking account probably had like, I don't know, $3,000 in it, and I'm like, I think having a baby costs a lot more than that.
And if you're gonna be in Los Angeles, $3,000 will last you 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm like, whatever's meant to happen is meant to happen right now. And my agent and manager called and said, they're executing your option, like you're gonna be in Ant-Man now. And it just, I jumped on this bed in this hotel room by myself, and I hit my head really hard on the ceiling, and it caused all the shit to come down, you know. And I came back and my son was born the next day.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now wait, which Ant-Man were you cast in? Edgar Wright Ant-Man?
So I was cast in Edgar's. This is what's crazy, okay?
So let's stop for 1 second.
Yes.
You're the man who walks between two worlds because you were in Dark Knight, a DC movie, and Ant-Man, a Marvel movie. But now you're the man who walks between two worlds even within the Marvel universe because you were in a version of Ant-Man that will never exist at this point.
Correct.
And then you were in the version of Ant-Man which everybody knows and loves as well.
Correct.
So tell us about the one we'll never see.
So the one that we'll never see, all I got to see, when you're testing and auditioning, they don't give you they're not my level of actor. I think if you're a star, they give you a whole script to see. Oh, I like this. When you're me and you go, I'll be in it. They give you like 8 pages. And those
They give you a list of ingredients on ketchup and that's your lines. And they're like, done.
Those 8 pages, I don't know what was all going to be shot, but it was quite different. I mean, the crew was much bigger. The Scott's crew was a number of guys, and a lot of the humor derived from that. So that was
in
different.
Ant-Man, as we know it, Scott's crew is you, Michael Pena, and
T.I. Yes, Luis, and
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, how many in his crew?
In that version, I feel like there was a grand total of either 8 or 7 total, which including Scott. So maybe there was like 6 guys, and there was a lot of. When I was testing, I remember a lot of the jokes that I was trying to make work and also be active in like an action sequence were like keeping track of people's names and stuff like that. So that was kind of my bit, you know, and I had this character that I told you this story. When I went to the test, I had like an idea of how my hair would look, and I'd worn this. I like to show up in character, you know, and this was This was, at this point, a character, if you've seen Ant-Man, the character I play in is quite different than characters I've gotten to play in other films before. So this was a big stretch for me. So I really wanted to, like, you know, let them see me as that. So I showed up in skirt, and I was in the thing, like, just from time I walk in until it's time to do the thing. And we're doing scene with, like...
Do you think they're like, is he really Russian? Did we hire a Russian guy?
But luckily, Edgar had seen other stuff I'd been in, and he knew who I was. So we had spoken out of my dialect. But I met Paul Rudd for the first time and Pena for the first time at this test at Disney. And they're so nice. We're like, there's like a coffee room where you're like eating, and then you go into the stage where you're shooting some scenes, like fake scenes, to see how chemistry is, I guess, or how you look together. And then Paul, it's a long day. And Paul, you know, comes over at one point. He's like, hey, man, great job in there. like, when did you come over? Or, and I was like, God, that's the best compliment ever. and the truth is, Paul Rudd grew up in Kansas City in a city called Overland Park, probably a mile from where I grew up. He went to a high school called Shawnee Mission West. I went to Shawnee Mission South. I knew that we had both worked at the same mall at different times, but at the same mall. So I'm like, in character, I'm like, well, I was for assistant manager at Long John Silver at the Oak Park Mall. And he was like, what? You were the... And I was like, dude, I'm from Overland Park too. And he was like, no way.
That's awesome.
But so I got cast in Edgar's version. And then soon after, Edgar did, say, hey, I'm really sorry. It's been so great getting to know you, but I think I'm going to be leaving the project. And
were you like, oh shit,
I was devastated because I hadn't been looking for work. I had been like, enjoy this baby and my wife, and we're in our apartment in LA going like, dude, in a couple months, we're going to go join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Are you kidding me? And then all of a sudden that went away in a sense because I knew that they were rewriting the script, and my agent had found out that some of the guys who had been hired as crew were leaving or getting let go, and people were leaving, and it was really stressful. And then I heard that Peyton Reed had been hired on as the director, which I was so excited for the film because I thought, oh, I love that guy, and I'd seen him in interviews before, and I knew he had this like similar knowledge or similar passion as I did to like some of the source material.
Yeah, he loves comics.
And he's made some great, cool movies.
He's a great
man.
fucking filmmaker.
He's awesome.
Like they put him in movie jail after Down with Love.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
And it was unfair as fuck because that's an incredible movie.
Yep.
That really is a snapshot of a movie they never fucking make anymore, and it's pitch perfect in tone and everything. And then after that, for a while, they were like, ugh. But everything
awesome.
he's done. Dude, fucking Bring It On is a fun fucking movie. Like, so when they announced him as the backup guy, it's like, all right, Edgar's not gonna do it. This guy's gonna do it. I was like, number one, that's total Marvel Moneyball. They go for somebody who knows how to make these movies, but maybe hasn't had it. At least they used to in Marvel version, Universe 1 or 2 or whatever they fucking call that. It seems now they're like, now we can get anybody. We don't have to play Marvel ball. Soon we'll see a Spielberg Marvel movie. That's my prediction. But in any event, man, there was that time where like they were like, let's get people like Favreau. They got Favreau after his Zathura flopped and shit. So they were like, he knows how to make a movie. He made a movie that hit with Elf. He made a movie that didn't hit in space, which we can't pronounce. But he knows how to handle a budget. Let's give him this movie. So when they got Peyton Reed, I was so happy because I'm like, finally, somebody go fucking let this dude out of movie jail. He's fucking talented. But right away, I was like, he's a great blend for this material because from everything I know about the dude, he likes comics. And so does Edgar.
Yeah.
But, in a world where it wasn't going to be Edgar, he seemed like a fucking good choice. I was like, right on. And I loved the movie. Like, I still do. It's utterly fucking watchable.
You're a person whose opinion matters to me. And when you said that you liked it, we were all very, very pleased.
It's a fun movie.
It was
basically, it's fucking Iron Man structure with a lot more fun.
Sure.
Which is that even possible?
And actually more heart.
Yes.
It's got a lot more heart.
I was terrified because they months go and I don't hear anything. And I was supposed to start
June 17th. Do you get paid or no? Once Edgar's gone?
At a certain point into when the contract was supposed to start, they did start paying me. So I did start getting some income.
Right.
But that didn't mean, I was like, I could be let go and then what am I now? It was really stressful. And then my agent called and said, oh, good news. You're going to go down and test with Peyton. He said, you're going to go down and test with Peyton. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna test again.
Test for a role that I already got.
He didn't say it right. I went down to do camera tests. Like it was official at this point.
You got the part. You just want to look at your costume.
I'm not kidding you guys. I go to Atlanta. We go to the new Pinewood Studios. It's the first movie that's going to be shot there. And I go up into this boardroom where the Marvel executives are there, and like the VFX guys are there, and Peyton's there, and Paul and Evangeline and Pena, and they do this big demonstration for us, and they bring out the Ant-Man, and I'm sitting there thinking like, God, I'm so lucky. I don't see any other guys auditioning here that are getting this presentation. And then Peyton's like, all right, man, let's get you in I've got some ideas, for how I want the looks to go. It's great to meet you finally. I'm so glad that we're doing this. And I'm like, you mean I'm in? I'm doing this job? I know, I'm such a kid from Kansas sometimes, but it's true. Like no one said that to me. Anyway, so yeah, then I went and shot and it was, oh man, it was so fun.
That's all your guy. I mean, look, the whole fucking movie's fun, but all the stuff with the crew just looked like balls to the wall good time.
It was a blast.
Whether Paul Rudd was with you guys or whether you guys are off by yourselves in the van and stuff. Like, supporting characters don't come along very often in movies and stuff. Like that crew, you could watch a whole fucking movie about that crew, independent of Ant-Man in the Marvel Universe, and still be entertained.
You're going for sandwiches. Those three
I'm
dudes.
so lucky that like the ideas and thoughts that go behind the structure of the film and these characters. You got Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish's vision in there. Then you've got Adam McKay and Paul Rudd's vision in there, and then Gabe Ferrari and Andrew Barr who wrote on that as well and are writing the next one. All these people's ideas and vision, and I get to go into these circumstances that are just ripe for. That can be really fun, and then with these brilliant actors, we'd always shoot the text, and then they just start let's let it go and see where it goes. And they'd come in the next day with rewrites based on stuff that had been done the day before. And they would always, that's not my element per se, and they kept throwing me the ball and letting me play. So there's a lot.
Because they liked what you were doing.
They kept some
just
of my
like
good,
Nolan liked what you were doing. So they were like, all right, this fucking, they don't always be like, my God, what you're doing is great. Sometimes, like Nolan, they're just like, that's in the movie.
Well, thank you.
That's in the movie. I'm gonna keep that.
I'm very
I'll get
proud.
credit for that.
Some of my improvs that I liked were "This is the work of gypsies." That was an
Nice.
improv. And and they're doing a Titanic riff, and then I said, the old lady not die, she still throw jewel in the ocean.
Yeah,
and they were like, good, yeah, I gave it. I also made some Funyun fart jokes that didn't make it, but that's all right.
You're like, I pushed.
I pushed.
I went too close to the sun.
But it was
Wings of
awesome,
wax.
man. I got to bring Arlo to set one night. The crew and the producers and everybody was so cool, and they loved this material as much as I do, or more even. I don't know who could love it more than me, but I keep meeting people who love it so much, and they were just like so into it. And I got to bring Arlo to set the night they were shooting the tank coming out of Pym Laboratories, and like, man, it was so fun. It was so cool, dude.
How was Douglas? Michael Douglas?
So cool. He's as
like, he
cool
looked
as
like
the
he was
day is
having a
long, brother.
blast
He's
on
just
that movie.
like, he's such a legend, and he's so fucking just cool and chill. And we started talking about I was talking about him and working with Karl Malden back in the day and being in the streets of San Francisco. And I love Karl Malden. I loved what that guy represented so much about the great supporting actor, and he did so many great performances. And we started talking about that. The next thing that led to talking about Cuckoo's Nest, which Douglas helped bring to the screen. And,
yeah.
I mean, the stories this dude has, and he's funny and cool, and yeah, man, he's Michael Douglas, dude.
And plus, he's Hank Pym.
And he's
Hank
Pym and nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, and didn't nail Janet, which he did in the comics. That was
well, we don't.
Punchy
The
Hank
darks.
Pym. This Hank Pym, he ain't very punchy at all.
Was that the Edgar Wright version?
No, that predates Edgar, man. That was the drinky Hank Pym, if I remember correctly.
Hank's gone through some fit, but the Pym particle messes with and who knows where they're going to take this stuff. I hope they continue to play in that fun tone, because what I love about the film, and I'm really proud of it, is it just embodies, like I say, the colors that I think of when I first dove into these characters and their sense of humor and the way that they fought and the way that you're able to have a massive battle while they're still quipping to one another. I think that shit's right from the mind of Stan. And when I met Stan for the first time, he said, I'm so excited about this because I'm going to do a bad Stan Lee. But,
everybody does.
Do him in Russian.
Stupid.
Do Stan Lee as if he was
I'll tell you a funny
Russian.
Stan Lee story. How would Stan Lee, if he's do it? I don't know. He's Russian.
Very KGB,
For
I feel.
KGB. I'm playing with
Say Excelsior.
Excelsior. So in the bullpen this week, Stan got brought to do. We're doing his cameo at the restaurant across from Warner
He's in
Brothers.
the middle of that story where
Yeah,
Michael
and his
Pena
line
does.
is supposed to be, "She's crazy, stupid, fine, man," and he's supposed to be mouthing those words. So he comes in, and no one really kind of tells him what to do, and he gets to his mark, and he's shooting. He goes, "She's crazy and stupid, and she's fine." And they're like, "No, Stan, she's crazy, stupid, fine, man." That's what I said. She's crazy and she is stupid. And she's fine. And I'm like, no, just, and he's like, why doesn't someone tell me what? He got really like annoyed, and I was like, oh man, Stan. And then after he frapped, he went and shook everyone's hand and said, I'm so excited about this. And I got to go to his trailer, and me and Paul and Brad Winterbaum, one of the producers, and he said, I'm so excited to see this in a film, because in the comics, Ant-Man was always limited because you had to cut back and forth between the frames of him small and him big, and it never really operated the way we wanted it to for our readers. And he said, seeing it now in a movie, we can jump and we can save so much, and he's really excited about it. And I told him about, the first comic that I bought, and I told him about my life, and we had this amazing conversation, and then it led to a certain point me saying something like, I'm really nervous someday I'm going to bring the long boxes down when Arlo's 9 and show him, all that I've got, and he's going to go like, could you show me how to throw a curveball or something that I'm going to be like, oh no.
He might be a jock.
And Stan I brought the first comic I ever bought off a spinning rack at a 7-Eleven, and he wrote, to my friend Arlo, Stan Lee.
Come on, dude. That's amazing. It's an heirloom, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
Signed by the man himself.
You got to slab that shit, man.
I've got, Marvel gave me some cool ones with this.
Slab that, man.
This.
That's when you intend never to touch a book again. Like, that's
I've got some other ones I did, but this one is going to be just like something that Arlo gets to take out. I want to read it with it. I want to read his first comic. So guys, say a prayer out in comic lover fandom that my son really enjoys comic books.
Otherwise, man, you could sell that to some other lucky boy named Arlo.
Maybe I'll have another kid. Maybe my daughter's going to love comics. Who knows?
Name her Harlow. And then just put an H on the beginning of that. You're all set.
There you go.
Let me tell you something. You are fucking chock-a-block full of goddamn interesting stories, dude. You're like the Forrest Gump of fucking comics. You're everywhere where it's everything you want to be. You're being it. You're at places fucking meeting people, fucking walking through history.
Getting pedicures.
Backing into fucking...
Meeting Kevin Smith, getting
crazy.
a pedicure.
At a pedicure place. And you sit out there and be like, pedicure, you jerk. That's who you meet when you go fucking pedicure, man.
And you get shiny toes. What?
That as well. You get that shit buffed. But even if you don't, man, it's all about... Dastmalchian, man. You run into someone like Dastmalchian. Dave Dastmalchian, ladies and gentlemen. You know him, but now you know him. That's what I like about this show, man. Like, they know your face and shit. And as an actor, probably better that they know little about you, because then they don't project your bullshit back onto you, right? Like, you pop up in The Dark Knight, nobody knows who the fuck you are, so they're like, this guy's fucking riveting and shit. Unfortunately, we ruined your magic.
Sorry about that.
Because you just told everyone your fucking secret origin and shit. Now they're gonna be like, "Oh, he's a sweet guy. He's got a kid named Arlo. Got that one nice wife. He can't be a psycho."
Listen, I played my share of psychos. Now I can
Now
go and play like good nice. I want those good Jeff Daniels roles. You know?
Is that what you're looking for?
No, I don't know.
You like looked at all
I
of
want to
them.
be
Like,
Peter Lorre. I
Lorre's a good
was
career.
huge into Cheney, both Cheney Senior and Junior. I think those
Dick
guys.
Cheney?
And his daughter, Lon.
I would have shoot somebody in the face with a shotgun.
He's like,
Buscemi. Oh man, he's always been a hero of
Buscemi's
mine.
wonderful.
Turturro. I want those guys to get in on the universe somewhere.
This is a weird thought, but I've been watching Bad News Bears a lot lately and shit. Buscemi would be an excellent
He would be
Buttermaker
so
in a
great.
remake.
He'd be so great, man.
I was thinking about it. Can't just be anybody. It has to have a fucking look about
Have you
them.
seen Trees Lounge lately? It's just.
Not
I
lately,
went
but
back
that's
and
a
watched it
wonderful
again
movie.
recently, and it's like, come on, man, that guy's just so fucking.
He's
good.
always been fantastic.
Yeah.
Look
in a
at you,
Klaus
man.
thing, I guess.
You're gonna come back and be on the show.
I hope so. I'll just be
Because I
sleeping
know
under
there's
here.
some other shit that you worked on, which we can't talk about now because it's early. But he worked with somebody else. I'll tell you right afterwards. You'll be like, "What? You already
Shut
know."
up!
And it's fucking dope. So as soon as you're allowed to talk about it,
I would love to.
You'll be back on the show.
Breaking news here.
and we'll talk about it here, because it was fucking like when he told me, I was like, no, that's.
Son of a...
I'm telling you, like, he's got the life you want, dude. Like, as I sat there getting my feet done, I was like, I thought I was pretty
I want to
fucking
write
special.
comics, man. Come on.
Did you just get the
You'll be able
vapors
to do
right
it.
there? Was that
I
what
did,
happened?
a little bit. I
You
was
got
like,
the vapors?
I saw somebody where I was like, I like your life better. And his wife was frightened by that, of course. Naturally, she rushed the kid out of there and stuff. But it's such a fucking
Get the go bag.
No.
There it is. Go wide. Show off
get
our guest.
Yes.
Give him a goddamn single.
No.
Before he leaves. There he is. Dave Dastmalchian, man. Now you know him who he fucking is. Never mind. You can't call him the Joker dude anymore.
Nope.
Guy from Batman
I'm fine with
or
that.
from Ant-Man. He was the from Man guy.
I love
Batman.
that. That's
Ant-Man.
totally awesome.
Now they're like, oh, that's Dastmalchian.
That's just Dave now.
Dave Dastmalchian. Thanks, you guys. This has been amazing. Thank you.
You'll come back.
Yes.
There it is, folks. Come on, you can't ask for more than that. It's fucking fantastic.
Seriously.
Go tell your friends.
Free
man.
pedicures.
You thought you had a cool life? Dastmalchian knocks your shit right into the dirt. It's crazy. It makes us all feel small and terrible.
But everyone is special in their own way.
Yeah, you're all good. It's in your own way, but this guy's great. I mean, holy fuck. There it is, folks.
Aim low,
Man,
kids.
I'm Batman. I've been Kevin Smith.
Marc Bernardin.
Tell him who you are, Dave.
Dave Dastmalchian.
You'll see him back here again, man. Come back next week, same fat time, same fat channel, smodcast.com.
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith. I'm taking care of the business.
Probably
man.
better.
You're well. Whatever. Somebody's got it.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
You ever wanted to be the Batman dream?